So my name is Frances Davies and I work for the ZAAB Alliance for Agroecology and Biodiversity, which is a national-wide agroecology and food sovereignty network in Zambia. We also work with members and partners across the Southern African region, particularly with the Seed and Knowledge Initiative, as well as with AFSA, the Alliance for Food Sovereignty in Africa. And I support the Seed and Agroecology Working Group, which is one of the 4 main strategic working groups in AFSA on the continent. We are what we eat, and we keep saying this, but it is not landing in Africa and in the world. We have a slogan that says that we are what we eat and we eat what we produce, but we do not eat what we produce, because this has been systematically programmed through our governance, through our markets, within our education systems, to not eat what we produce, but to rather buy what we eat. And this is making us dependent on a global corporate food system, and it is also making us really, really unhealthy, sick, and with non-communicable diseases that are now the biggest cause of global deaths annually, non-communicable diseases. And the basis of this is actually the global industrial food system. So we don't eat what we produce, and this is the sole reason why AFSA is mobilizing on the African continent to take back control of our African food system in order to reclaim who we are in what we eat, which is our identity, which is our culture, which is linked to land, our spirituality, who we are, our families, our everyday practices. And this is what we eat. And this is African. And this symbolizes who we are, and it also symbolizes our own power to control who we are, to control our own food systems, to control our work, our livelihoods. And this is central to the My Food is African campaign, that is now a continental campaign that we are running in Zambia, and partners are running across the continent and scaling up to really mobilize citizens to take back control of their food, of their production, and of the very basis of our lives. So in Zambia, we work at a 3-pronged approach where we really work to build knowledge, to reconnect our understanding of the food system. So the food system has been, in a sense, broken. We separate production from consumption. Production is about a business. It's not about a right to food anymore. And consumption is about buying from a capitalist system. So our work is to reconnect the dots of the food system, of the Zambian food system, so that first it produces affordable, accessible, nutritious, healthy, culturally appropriate food for Zambian citizens everywhere, and supporting that right that all Zambians have. So make the connections again within the food system, sharing that knowledge, doing the research, exposing how our food system is broken and why it's broken. There's particular corporations, the powers that be, that lock in the industrial food system that have resulted in the industrialized food system that we have today. So our work is to unpack that, is to explain that, is to make that visible to the public with knowledge as power, and take that into the public domain. And through that we work both with a wide range of actors and partners across the country. So particularly through using popular media, radio stations at national and district level, farmers working on the ground have access to their own community-based radio stations that are talking about My Food is African, connecting back to agroecological production systems and consuming beautiful, diverse local foods that are nutritious. And then as well as at national level, huge campaigns on TV, and then also just working a lot with taking that into the policy space. So again, in connecting the dots between the research, what's happening, the lock-ins to the industrial food system, the inequity in our system, public demand for taking back control of our food and our production, to policymakers, creating spaces where farmers, where concerned consumers, where we can present our demands to policymakers to enable supportive policies comprehensive, just food systems transitions based on agroecology, as opposed to based on industrial and corporate models of agribusiness. So we really need to acknowledge the people and the corporations who hold power in the food system, and actually really recognize that at national level. At the end of the day, we are all citizens first, whether you are a farmer, a mother, a consumer, a policy maker. You are a food citizen, and we need to make very explicit about who is determining, who is shaping our food systems. And policymakers have an obligation to, at the moment they are captured, they are held by foreign outside forces who control our food system. So making that very explicit in order to expose these nodes of power to really respond back to citizens and to citizen-based food systems rather than corporate-based food systems. So we really are pleading with our government, who are currently implementing policies that are very pro-industrial agri-food systems, that are delivered, shaped, designed by the Corporate Alliance of Agribusinesses, and at the center of this is the World Economic Forum, is the Alliance for the Green Revolution in Africa, is the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Syngenta, Monsanto, the big corporate alliance who hold power and who have sort of acknowledged these systems of power, these nodes of power, and respond back to citizens rather than to corporations. And so our agri-food policies are more and more taking us down lock-in systems into industrialization. And we've acknowledged that in order to deal with climate change, malnutrition, we have to go back to agroecological diversified food systems. And our governments have to do this through implementing comprehensive supportive food policies.
Thank you so much.